Hi, everybody. Hello, 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 and happy Valentine's Day. I have my friend Meredith here. Happy
Happy
V-Day, Meredith.
Valentine's Day. Yay. I'm so glad to be able to share my Valentine's Day with my friend Sarah and all of my beauty friends.
I could not say it better myself, Meredith. I love, I love Valentine's Day for love. I love Valentine's Day for friendship, and I love all the jewelry making and the good stuff that's been coming out like around the season. It's like Valentine's Day or like the holidays come out, and everyone wants to make something for it. Well, we're not just making something for Valentine's Day; we're making something on Valentine's Day, and I get to hang out with my pal. So, yes, this is good.
It's a win for everyone. Although I was realizing this morning as I was kind of getting my head around the project that we were doing today, it's not exactly a Valentine's Day
No,
project. Like, how can we
no.
turn it into a Valentine's Day project,
Well,
Sarah?
this is like what we're doing today. As you can see in the center of our display here, we have Meredith Roddy from Beadalon with us here. Yay, Meredith from Beadalon. And we are going to be doing some seed bead stitching, guys. Check this out. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So this is what we call the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye is from the new All Eyes on Me collection at Jesse James Beads. We have got a full collection that features this very trendy, very iconic symbol, the all-seeing eye, which is a positive symbol of peace and protection, of illumination, and of knowledge. So we are taking the collection one step further. Like the collection at Jesse James Beads has got bead mixes and strands and really fun supplementary glass beads and focal pieces and like leather and all that jazz. It also has seed beads in these very beautiful navy, bright blue, white, sparkling silver colors. And I asked my friend Meredith, hey, Mer, don't you think it would be so fun to come over here? Oh, did I just go black there for a minute because I went to the other page? Whoopsie
No,
poopsie.
no, you were fine. I just brought in the thingy, the
Oh,
seed beads,
okay.
some of them.
All right, great. I thought I saw thing and I didn't. Anyway, what I want to tell you all is just a second here. What I wanted to say is that I asked my friend Meredith if she would come on and she would show us how to do some seed beads with this really neat all-seeing eye shape. So Meredith, it's great to have you here. How are you doing as people are tuning in? Just give us a little intel on what's going on in your day, and that's that.
Well, I have come to love Valentine's Day because of all of the things that you were saying at the very beginning, Sarah, that it's really about all different kinds of love. Love for your
Yeah.
partner, of course, but love for your family, love for your friends, love for your furry friends, your furry family, love for everyone around. And I'm honored that you are taking a moment from your Valentine's Day to spend it with us. And I'm super excited about this project. I love working with Sarah because she always challenges me to think about something in a little bit of a different way or a different color scheme or using a technique that I'm familiar with and creating a new project. So when she showed me that she wanted to do these really fun eyes, what are we calling these, Sarah? Tell me the official
Well,
name.
okay, so they're called. They can be referred to as the evil eye. They can also be referred to as the all-seeing eye, which I prefer because it has a positive connotation to it. It's the symbol is to be like, like all eyes aware, illumination, knowledge, and like just positive protection.
Perfect. I love it. And I
Mm.
love how deceptively manageable, as I always try to do to make my seed bead projects deceptively manageable. So when you look at them, you might be like, whoa, I'm not sure I can handle that one, Mare. But once we get going, totally doable.
And I have to just give like big kudos and props for my friend Meredith right here because Meredith, you make things really digestible, understandable, comprehensible. Like I can really understand from you when you teach seed bead design. And Jesse James Beats has been so lucky to have Meredith Roddy teach with us at every single one of our Jesse James Beats all heart educational events That's our summer camp, our winter workshops, and our springtime events also. Meredith has come on board and taught us a new seed bead project, a new seed bead technique, every single one of these events that we've done. And you just do it so well, Meredith. Like we're so blessed to have you as an instructor in our industry, in our community. We're so blessed at Jesse James Beads to have you at our events. And all of us are really, really blessed. Like, bless up right now to the Valentine's heavens that we have Meredith live on the Jesse James Beads channel, teaching us seed beads for everyone to learn, like right now.
Oh, you are so sweet, Sarah. You've turned all of the like craziness that's been going on and around me in my day into all positivity, love, and light. So that is your gift to the world, to be able to take my craziest day and turn it into just smiles all around. So I
You know
appreciate that,
what?
and I appreciate you.
I thank you for saying that, Meredith. I enjoy this time that we get to have together, like you and me hanging out here, but all of us online. This time that we take out from our day, whether you can tune in for 5 minutes or the whole hour, just to be able to like take that little brief, slice of time and say, I'm taking this time for me. Like, I love jewelry making. I love to learn something new or to be inspired. And this right here, however long the time span may be, that is for me, for the viewer, for you, for us to be able to take this moment of self-care and self-awareness that I love to make jewelry making, and I'm going to tune in for a brief moment because it's important to me, to you, to all of us.
To all of us. And quite frankly, important to me. I needed this break in my day. And so I'm very grateful to you, Sarah, and for everyone who is joining us and hanging out both now and on the replay, for allowing me this opportunity. Sometimes you just need to sit down and make a little something creative real quick. And so I'm grateful to be able to have that opportunity for today, for sure.
I've been calling this one our maker lunch break because it's 1:00 here. We Rodrigo and I treated the warehouse to tacos, to flautas. Actually, we catered lunch today, but it's late. So I have not had lunch break. So I'm like ready to just like pour all of my I don't know. I'm talking like I'm hungry. I'm sorry. Maybe we should just start making jewelry.
I think that's a great idea.
Break. If you have lunch in front of you, then that is awesome. If you don't have lunch yet, maybe grab a snack, pull up a chair. Meredith is going to be teaching us how to make the all-seeing eye connector piece here. I'm really excited to learn this from you, Meredith.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get to it.
Happy Valentine's.
Thank you, Valentine. Our tacos have arrived.
Tacos are the best Valentines.
For the employees.
Thank you. Here, you want to say hi, Rodrigo.
Hi, Rodrigo.
Oh, hello, my friend. Hi. Happy Valentine's Day.
Just us, or are we in public?
We're in public.
Oh, okay. How are you? Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thank you, honey. All right. And now back to our creative maker lunch break with Meredith and Sarah. Meredith, are you ready to get some creating going on?
Yeah, let's do it. I've got everything down on my mat. We'll talk it through and do some making.
Oh, yay.
All right. We are spotlighted down here. Perfect. All right, let's see. I'm just looking through my bag of needles over here to get the needles that I want. All right, I'm good. Good to go. All right, so here's what we need for our project today. As Sarah mentioned, we are making these really fun pendants. I put wire guardians on either side because my idea was to do them as a linked together, and then add some of the amazing sheen that is part of this collection to either end to elongate it and turn it into a necklace. But of course, I also thought, well, I could do that bracelet style. And of course, what cute earrings these could be too, with a little dangle-do on the bottom. So I haven't finished any of the projects because each time I decide that I want to do something, I change my mind and I decide that I'm going to do something different. So go figure. Maybe we can all vote, and by the end of our show today, we can decide whether I'm going to make them into earrings, necklaces, or bracelets. But what we're going to be using today is the blue .006 Wild Wildfire. This is, of course, Beadalon's thermally bonded bead weaving thread. If you've taken any of my projects in the past or done any of my projects in the past, I like to use Wildfire for most all of my seed bead work. And the blue color is really good since we're using blue beads. And also I have 4 different colors of the Toho size 11 seed beads. And Sarah can put the colors and all the links and everything. She's already started doing that in the
Yes.
comments. So awesome, and thank you. The last thing we're going to need is a beading needle. I'm using a number 10 beading needle for my project today. You could use a size 12 or even a 13 if you are feeling super bold. But because we're doing brick stitch and we're only going through our beads twice, a number 10 needle is going to be just fine. A big eye beading needle would be a great one to use as well. And then I did mention some wire guardians. I just have mine in a little container here that we're going to use. And it's a pretty quick project to stitch up. So I think I did a little cook and show breakout. So we'll see where we are at about the halfway through the project point. And if I need to jump ahead, I will. And if not, we'll just go right through, maybe do a little chit chat as we go.
Sounds great.
So I'm laying out my beads, and I've got 4 colors, as I mentioned, that I'm using. My first color is this really pretty clear AB color. Then I have a dark blue, a lighter blue, and then a cream color as well. It's going to be not so easy to see on this white back mat, but we will know that it's there. And I am going to start by taking my Wildfire and pulling out a wingspan, right? Well, us seed beaters, we always talk in terms of wingspans when we pull out our thread. That's for me, about 5 feet. It's about the amount that I'm comfortable working with, the amount that I'll need for this project without having to add thread. And a good way that I don't need to have a ruler or a yardstick with me. So to cut my Wildfire, I always use very sharp scissors, and I come all the way to the back of the scissors, and I actually pull the Wildfire as I gently close the scissors just a little bit, so I don't have to wrestle with that thread to get it to cut. You always want to make sure that you're using your sharpest scissors and the back of the scissors, not the front, or it won't work. Hey, Debbie, welcome. I'm also going to flatten the end of the Wildfire with my flat nose pliers. I'm just going to bot my camera back up just a little bit to try to get a better focal. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way too, to make sure that it is focusing on my fingers, not on anything in the background. But to get my needle threaded, or to get my thread needled, I am going to pull it out of my pack right here, pull a needle out. And what I want to do is just come in here with my thumb and my forefinger and just find the needle's way over the end. And then once I have it needled about 1/8 of an inch, it's not going to go any further. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it with my pliers. And now what we're going to do is we are going to build this eye from the middle outward. So you can think of it this way, or you can think of it this way. But I'm going to start with this middle row, and then we're going to build one way. We're going to come back down, and we're going to build the other way. And when you're doing a project like this, you start with a base of ladder stitch, and then we're going to brick stitch one way, and then come on back down here and brick stitch the other way. So let's go ahead and start with that middle ladder stitch. And that middle ladder stitch is going to start with the color pattern: a clear bead, a dark blue bead, a white bead, a light blue bead, a dark blue bead, a light blue bead, a white bead, a dark blue bead, and a clear bead, okay? But as we go along, you will see how the ladder stitch works and then how the brick stitch gets built off of it. So first things first, I'm going to pick up one clear bead and one dark blue bead, okay? And with brick stitch, and ladder stitch, there's some nuances. There are some differences in starting and going along and finishing. So we're going to talk about them as I start, go along, and finish. So I have those two beads. I picked up one clear bead and one dark blue bead. I'm not working with a stop bead in this sense, or in this case. If a stop bead is more comfortable for you, go ahead and use one. I just find them to get a little bit in the way as I'm doing this. So I have my clear bead and my dark blue bead. I'm going to go back through both of those beads. So I'm creating a circle. And what will end up happening is I will reposition those beads so they are sitting next to each other. So, all right, let's work on this focal just a little bit. So bear with me for 1 second. I want to pull that up and pull that out of the way and see if we can get a little bit better focus so we can see nice and close. Okay, so you can see my thread is coming out of that blue bead. I'm going to continue around that circle again because those little beads are not quite laying like the good little soldiers I know that they can be. So I'm going to come back up the clear bead. And now you can see they're really starting to lay the right way. But I do need to go back down that dark blue bead to get my needle back in place to add the next bead. So a lot of ladder stitch and brick stitch tends to be moving your needle around to get your bead, to get your thread coming out of the right bead. Similar to many, many stitches, similar to a right angle weave, peyote stitch, you know the drill. So the next bead I'm going to add here, because I'm following the pattern on my example, is going to be a white bead. So my thread is coming out of that dark blue bead and it's coming down toward me. I've picked up that bead and I'm going to take my needle through the top of the bead, okay? And that bead is facing, or that needle is pointing toward me, and I'm going to pull it toward me, of course, off to the side so I don't stab myself. And then the next thing I need to do is I need to lock this little friend in place right here, that white bead. So I'm going to go back up through it. And I'm holding the beads in my left hand or my non-dominant hand so that they don't get too far out of whack. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my next bead, which is a light blue bead. Since my thread is coming from the top of my white bead, I'm going to now be facing my needle away from myself. And you'll start to see the pattern as I go. So facing the bead away from myself, but now I need to lock that bead in place and reposition. So I need to put my needle through and pull it toward me.
This is such a
And
satisfying stitch.
it is a very satisfying stitch in a moment, because right now, let me see if I can force this focus.
I think if you hold it up, this is what I noticed Deb doing yesterday. If you hold it up and then just don't move.
But I can't, like right there, I think is a good place. What do you think?
Let's see here. It's like when you go all the way up, the cameras want to refocus. So if you go all the way up, you have to like stay there, like, and hold still for a few seconds. Nope, it still doesn't like it.
All right, I'm just gonna plow on.
Yeah, from down there is good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so next one is going to be that dark blue. This is my center bead, and now my thread is coming down from the bottom of that light blue bead, so I need to go around, and this is the one where it's pointing toward me. I want to make sure I don't Don't stab myself. And then up through that center blue bead to lock it in place. And if your beads like mine over here are a little crookedy and wonky, don't worry about it. We're gonna lock them into place in just a moment. So now we're going to just reverse that pattern. I'm gonna come in here with a light blue bead, and I'm going to go away from myself and then down toward myself. I have way too many things on the beading board. Then I'm gonna do a white bead, and I'm gonna come now, this time, toward myself and away from myself. And I'm not worried if these beads are not lining up perfectly right now. They're not going to. So you shouldn't worry either. And now I'm going to go away from myself. I want to make sure my tail is nice and out of the way. That's another thing that will happen to you. Your little tails are going to want to get caught up. Just if that happens, just put them right back down out of place. And then I'm going to come down this blue. And then the last one in this ladder stitch row is going to be that rainbow bead again, because that's going to be our border all around the outside. So thread's coming out from the bottom, so I'm going to go into the top, pull that toward me, and back through that clear bead away from me. So now this is what you should have. That's a little wonky. It's a little out of sorts. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew back through all of those beads, and everything is going to tighten up. So my thread is coming out of my clear bead. I'm going to go back down through that dark blue bead. Give a little tug. I'm going to come up through that white bead. Give a little tug. Not a strong pull, just a little tug. Down through the light blue bead. Little tug, and you can see just in the small bit here how much nicer those first beads are laying now that I have them locked in or reinforced, as it were. So I'm going to pull this down, give a little tug, back up through my white bead. Just make sure that you are double checking your thread path here, because this is one of those places that it can get a little funky. And will get a little funky if you are not doing it the correct way. And that's one of the things that is both a blessing and a challenge with brick stitch, or really any seed bead work, is there isn't a whole lot of room for error. When you're doing stringing, when you're doing wire work, there's in my opinion, a lot more wiggle room for error, but in seed bead weaving, not so much. So here we are. This is my ladder stitch, middle, and now I don't have to worry about ladder stitch anymore. But what I do need to worry about is starting with my brick stitch. Now, in brick stitch, what you're going to do, the thread path, is you're going to take your needle underneath each of the thread bridges, which are these little pieces of thread that are connecting the beads together on the top. Those are your thread bridges. So again, the beginning and the end of brick stitch can vary. And what we are going to be doing is increases and decreases in brick stitch. So a lot of words coming your way. If you've never done these things before, not to worry. They're manageable. Just need to know that they're there and that they're coming up. Hello, Marisol and Ruth and Robin. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome. All right, so following my pattern, I am going to pick up one of the clear beads and one dark blue bead, and I'm going to go through my first thread bridge. And the reason why I'm going through that first thread bridge is because I'm doing an increase, okay? This row and the mirror row of this row are our increase rows. So we have to be aware of where we put our thread and where we put our needle and where we put our beads when we're doing an increase row. And this is the hardest row right here because I don't have a lot to hold on to. I'm doing a lot of adding and doing a lot of thinging. But if you just, I'm holding on to the little tail to keep these guys all the right way. I came under that first thread bridge and I'm going back through that blue bead. So again, the slower and steadier and more careful you can make this step, the easier it will be. And what I'm going to do and what I've started to do with my brick stitch is I want to lock these two beads into place. I used to just let this go and let it be a little wobbly, but I have found that it's a little sturdier. It looks a little bit nicer if you lock in your first rows. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to come down through both of those clear beads. And I'm going to try to do that as carefully as possible. Coming down through both of those clear beads. And I'm going to go up through both of those blue beads. And now I've done an increase. And my bead work will flare this way before it flares back out that way again. So, that was a lot. We don't have to do that part again for a little while, and you'll see why. But what I do need to do now is add, as part of the pattern, one more blue bead, or dark blue bead, I should say. And I'm going to go through that very next thread bridge. I should say underneath that very next thread bridge and up through that bead. And you want to make sure that you don't accidentally go back under that thread bridge. That has happened to me before, but it becomes very obvious if you've done that because your bead will just pop off. All right, next one, I picked up a white bead. I'm going to go underneath my thread bridge and I'm going to come back up through that white bead.
Now that is a very satisfying stitch.
All right, so the next one is going to be another blue or another light blue underneath the thread path. And this is what we did when we did the reindeer, Sarah, the reindeer earrings.
Oh yeah.
With the fringe. Yeah, this is the same stitch as were the reindeer earring. And we're just not doing fringe, although we could, because those twisted bugle beads that you sent me would be perfect for the fringe. If I had more hours in the day, we'd have some examples.
So what Meredith was referring to, just if I can just interject real quick, is that we made these really amazing fringe earrings at Jesse James Bead's winter workshop. Not this last winter workshop, but the one before that. And Meredith created this beautiful reindeer pattern, like white reindeer on red background, like a Norwegian sweater. And she designed it into a pattern for seed beading. And we did earrings just like the stitch that we're doing right now with like the increase. It made a little triangle at the top and then had fringe coming from the bottom. Meredith, that was a great project and class that you taught.
That was such an example of our collaborative styles. So you mentioned increase. Now we are increasing at the back end or at the end of our row. So we increased over here. Now we're going to do a brick stitch increase over here on the end. And quite frankly, as increases go, I think this is one of the easiest. So I'm going to pick up one of my clear beads because that's what it calls for in the pattern. And I don't have a thread bridge now. I don't have a thread bridge to go under. Let's just play around for a second, Sarah, if you'll indulge me. I'm going to bring my camera way down and see what happens when that happens.
Can you tap on your phone where you're?
Yeah, but since it's coming through StreamYard and not a video, it's not.
it doesn't
taking
do
it like that.
that. Okay.
But like my finger is in focus right here, right? So that should ostensibly, let me put that down right there for a second. Now that's in focus, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, so let me just stay down here and see what happens. All right, so what I need to do, because I don't have another thread bridge. Now, see, it's blurry again. It's so frustrating. You get a fancy new phone and you think that it's going to be better with focusing, and it's just not.
Well, that's just it actually, Meredith, because the brand new phone is brand new for you, and it doesn't the brand new phone isn't better with the focusing. But I'm looking, and I think that there's some tips and tricks, and we can talk about that a little bit more after the video.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I need to do is I'm just going to go straight down through my bead. So I'm not worrying about thread paths. I'm not worried about any bridges. I'm just going actually through that bead, and I'm pulling it, pulling it right out of frame, pulling it down. And tightening everything up. And I got a little tangly here. So I'm just going to make sure that that tangle doesn't interfere with my beadwork. And now you can see I've got an increase over here and an increase over here. But what I need to do is, of course, reposition my needle because I'm now coming down the bottom. So what I want to do, and this is the, if you've ever done odd count peyote, this kind of turnaround action might look familiar. I'm going to go through the blue bead on the bottom, as well as the second blue bead on the top. This is going to be one of those things that you kind of have to rewatch a couple times before you get it. Pull that through. And if you ever have a challenge getting your needle and your beads, or your needle and your thread through your beads, just grab your pliers, and they'll be very, very helpful in pulling your thread through. Now what I need to do is go down through the next blue bead, and then up through the clear bead on the end. And then I'm going to put that down, take a deep breath, and realize that I don't have to do that again until the next, this part down here on the bottom. So not to worry, we're only decreasing from now on. The hardest part is behind us. We'll have to do the hard part again, but this is the hardest part, because also we don't have a super whole lot to grab onto. So now, once again, I'm picking up one clear and one dark blue. And whereas before, when I was doing that increase, I went under the first thread bridge, from now and forevermore on this side, I am doing a decrease. So I'm going to come through the second thread bridge. So not the first one, the second one. It's just that with brick stitch, you just have to kind of remember or have a cheat sheet for where you're doing, where you're placing your thread. And it's pretty easy if you've made a mistake or if you've done it right to see. It might not be clear in that row, but it becomes very obvious. But once you get the increases and the decreases and where you want to put them in, then brick stitch really becomes a very versatile stitch. Sarah, did I show you the Minnie Mouse earrings that I made with brick stitch? Oh my gosh, they are so stinking cute. I can't even handle it. But it was a YouTube video that I found and followed, and it just uses brick stitch increases and decreases to create all kinds of shapes. You can
Oh,
make hearts, right? Because it's Valentine's Day. You
right.
can make characters. You can do all kinds of things once you kind of have that brick stitch increase and decrease click for you. So I'm
Wow.
just going up to speed right now, because once you get those increases and the decreases, and then you understand that brick stitch kind of the philosophy of picking up a bead, coming underneath that thread bridge and back up, you are in good shape. And I'm noticing our time, Sarah, and what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to shorten my thread here so that I'm not spending so much time pulling it through, because I'd like to be able to take this to the top, add the wire guardian, and then show how to finish it off on the other side.
Okay.
So that's another little trick of the trade. Using a shorter thread really helps with the speed of your beadwork. However, the challenge with using a shorter thread is that you have to add thread more often if you are making something that's bigger. So there are always pluses and minuses to anything. Now, you'll see as I've been going along, I added a wrong color. So let's show how to take out our stitch in brick stitch, because it's a little more challenging than some of the other ones. So I took my needle off. That's what you want to do with brick stitch. When you need to take your bead out, it's just, there's so many more things that could go wrong if you don't take your needle out. And I'm pulling with my needle from the top of those thread paths to release the bead. Once you start trying to redo your thread paths, and people who have done brick stitch before can attest that more wrong can happen than having to rethread your needle. And again, I can never say it enough. If you don't like threading your needle and you do like doing seed bead work, please check out either the big eye or the collapsible eye needles. They're a game changer. And even now, when the tireder my eyes get at night, if I'm working on a project, I will often change to a big eye beading needle, just because I oftentimes, especially when I'm trying to like figure out a pattern, I oftentimes will have to undo things, and it's just so much easier when you're using a big eye beading needle. Now I've gotten to the end, and I'm not doing an increase this time. I am decreasing until I get to the top. So I have done that end bead, and I like to work when I'm doing brick stitch from left to right. Quick poll of the group. Do you like to work from left to right or right to left? But I like to work from left to right. So I just flipped my bead work so that I ended here and I am back to this side. And so now once again, one clear, one blue. Because I'm not doing an increase, I'm doing a decrease. I'm skipping the first thread bridge and I'm coming through the second thread bridge. And if you could even work away from yourself, I think, if you don't like working toward yourself, but I find it more comfortable for me to work from left to right and to work with the needle coming toward myself. So that's interesting. Emily's saying she does this from right to left. So that's interesting. Do you hold it with your left hand still and work from right to left? That's cool. I love when people do things differently, and then also achieve the same goal. Sarah, did you ever make a pair of the reindeer earrings?
I did not make a pair of the reindeer earrings, but what I did make was the watermelon sugar high ring that we did.
Oh, yay.
And
I
that was
loved
brick
that
stitch
one.
also, and I loved it. So Meredith taught us at summer camp, JJB summer camp, our virtual online beading educational event in the summertime. Meredith had taught us how to make these watermelon rings, and it was like green on the outside and pink on the inside, and then you got to sprinkle in your black seeds as you liked them. And I just had so much fun with that, Meredith. I loved it. Brick stitching.
Brick stitching. I love I love seeing how everybody else does it right to left. Ooh, maybe I should teach it right to left. I don't know. For me, it's more comfortable this way. All right. And so I am going to flip this again because I've reached the end of my row. I'm not doing any decreases. I'm sorry, I'm not doing any increases. I am doing a decrease. So I am ready and able to start that next row. Once again, skipping that first thread bridge, coming to the next one, coming down and up. And I realize that I have been neglecting to do what I said I was going to do in the very beginning, which is reinforce this thread path here. And I would do that by going down 2 of the clears and up 2 of the blues. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and keep on keeping on. Oh, hello, Cecilia, and happy Valentine's to you, Heather. I am happy to hang out with my gal pal Sarah James here for Valentine's Day. Do you remember when you came down to the studio and we did Alice in Wonder or the Red Queen? That was
Yeah.
for Valentine's Day, wasn't it?
It was. Oh my gosh. This is like pre-COVID, everybody. Like, wow. Can you even remember these times? It was when Meredith invited me to go down to the Beetlon studio. I was living in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, not so far from where Beetlon's production facilities and from where, the Beetlon studio is. And Meredith invited me down and she said, "You want to get dressed up?" And I said, "Yeah, do I ever?" And you had a
That
Red
wasn't for
Queen outfit.
Halloween,
Oh,
though.
hey,
That
here's
was
me again.
Was that for Halloween or was that for Valentine's? I can't remember now.
I felt like it was Valentine's Day, but maybe
Okay,
it
I
was
think so
Halloween.
too.
I don't know. We've hung out many, many times.
You would not recognize the studio now. We redid it. We totally redid the whole thing. It
It
looks
looks fresh,
amazing.
mind you.
Yeah. We're on the other side of the room now. And yeah, it's like full on down here. It's really nice.
Oh wow! On the other side
Yeah.
of the room, holy moly!
All right. So what did I do here? Something weird happened.
We got chitting and chatting down. We were strolling down memory lane.
Strolling down memory lane and something weird happened. So okay, so this is what happened. This is a mistake that you might make too. So I'm glad I did this. Somehow my thread is not in the right place. It got kind of on the other side of this bead here. So I can see what's happening. So I'm just going to pull it out like that. And that's a good reminder for why it's a good idea to actually lock these beads into place so stuff like that doesn't happen. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that on the next one just to show everybody how you can make your beadwork just a little bit more secure and not in the interest of time. All right, so again, no increases. I keep saying that backwards. No increases, just decreases. So let's come back here. We're gonna add 1 clear and 1 dark blue. Skip that first thread bridge, go underneath the second thread bridge, back up through my blue bead. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down both the clear bead and the bead below it, the clear bead and the clear bead below it. And then I'm going to come back up the blue bead and the blue bead above it. And maybe I can do that in one thread path. Maybe I can't. Maybe I have to do that in 2 passes. But what that does is it locks our beads into place.
Looks like it makes it really sturdy when you do that.
Yep, super sturdy, and it locks the beads into place and makes turns them into better little soldiers. And then we keep on keeping on.
Obedient. Turns them into good, obedient little beads.
And this row is great because it's all dark blue beads.
No, I think Hobby Lobby or
So we just keep on keeping on. And I would love to know in the comments what everybody's favorite seed bead stitch is. But additionally, what seed bead stitch do you not know yet that you really wish that you did? So those are my two questions for everyone who's watching. And if you're catching on the replay, put them in too, because I will usually go back um, after a couple of days and rewatch all lives with just to see what people are saying. So that I'm always curious about is what is people's favorite bead weaving stitch, and then what would you really, really like to learn?
I've got a question, Meredith.
Yeah.
So you're
Shoot.
showing us how we can like really form some cool shapes by doing this brick stitch, which is what Meredith is teaching us right now, by doing adding and subtracting the increases and decreases of the rows with the brick stitch. I'm curious, like if you wanted to make like an animal or some sort of like 3D form, what sort of stitch do you use for that?
Oh, that is a good question. You could do that in a lot of different ways. The
Right.
most the most often, or the way that I see that done the most often is with either peyote stitch, that would be the easiest, or a variation of a right angle weave, like a cubic right angle weave, where
Okay.
you're building your shape with basically building blocks
Oh.
of beads. And so, yeah, oh my gosh, so many unbelievably adorable and amazing um, patterns are out there to see. Oops, I picked up two clear beads and I needed a clear and a dark. But yeah, I mean, you could do that with herringbone stitch. You could do it with brick stitch. It's really like once you start getting into dimensional shapes, um, the sky's the limit. Oh, Lois, if I could teach cubic right angle weave, that would be like the best of all teaching accomplishments that I have ever done. That is my, I've figured it out and I now get it. But yeah, that's it. That is a doozy. All right, so now I have two clear beads because I'm doing that very top row. So I've done all of the rows and now I'm doing my top row with two clear blue beads. Or, I'm sorry, two clear blue beads. Yeah, that's real helpful, Mary. Two clear beads. So underneath the thread path or the thread bridge and up through that last clear bead. And this is where I'm going to add my wire guardian. Now, if you don't have wire guardians, you could make a little loop of beads here. You could add a little loop of beads and a ring, like a solid jump ring. Or gosh, there are so many fun things in the JJB mixes that you could add on the top to embellish. But when I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, a wire guardian is always a good way to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to try to do this in one thread path or one thread pass. If you don't, that's totally fine. I didn't. So I'm just going through as much as I can. I'm using my pliers to pull this through, and just to make sure that my thread is locked into the top of that wire guardian, that my wire guardian is nice and straight, and then my needle is coming all the way through these beads and then down through the bead that my tail is coming out of as well. And now we have to mirror that row that we did an increase on both sides. And this is a good time if you want to, you can weave your tail back in just to get it out of the way. I tend to just leave my tails until the very end. That's the type of beater that I am. But let's go ahead and do that tough row, right? Remember that row that was so tough in the beginning because we didn't really have a whole lot to hold on to? We're gonna do that same thing this time. So again, I flipped my work over because I'm more comfortable working from left to right. And I'm gonna pick up one clear bead and 1 dark blue bead. And again, just as a reminder, as we were building up and we were doing our decreases, we skipped that first thread bridge and we went through the second. Because we're doing an increase, we're going to go underneath that first thread bridge this time. And if you go through the wrong thread bridge, you'll see, because your beads just won't be in the right place and you'll be like, that doesn't look right. Let me take it out and figure out what to do. So this little bead over here is just hanging out, but I'm going to go back through that second bead. And somebody made a comment back up a little ways that they only go down. Oh, Emily was saying she only goes down 1 clear bead and up 1 blue bead. That's okay too. You could really, that you could do. I tend to go down through both. I just think it locks it into place a little bit better. But you could definitely, certainly just go down through one and up through the other. It's a little bit of a time saver also. So you saw when I did it with the 2, it locked into place. 1 does it just as well. So our beater's choice. And then let's go ahead and get that row done. And I'll show the increase on the end one more time. And then I'm going to jump forward and show how I finish everything off. All right, so let's see. We're going to come in here with that white bead again. The taco party sounds like it's a lot of fun, Sarah. I'm not too far away. You might see me in an hour.
I know. Next time we gotta have you come on over. We do lunch for the employees about like once a month. And it's just like just nice to be able to like share a meal and eat some good food. Can't
Yes,
ever
and
go
I'm
wrong with
jonesing
tacos.
for some tacos and guacamole. I'm
Ugh.
missing being in Tucson.
Oh my gosh, the best. I love it. I saw Meredith. I saw Marisol in the comments. Hi, Marisol, saying that tacos are her Valentine. Girl, we don't got to fight over them. Tacos have got enough love to go around.
Oh, I cannot wait to look and see what I want to go back and read the comments to see what people's favorite stitches are. But I just noticed Emily said that she's looked everywhere for the Better Homes and Gardens magazine. So Sarah, my hero, sent me a photo from the cover of the new Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Let me do this increase really quickly, and then maybe Sarah, you can talk about it a little bit, and then I'll tell
Sure.
Emily where I found it. All right, so I picked up my 1 bead, and I have to do that increase again, so that my shape isn't, and the whole reason why we're doing this is so it's not a diamond, it's more of an oval eye kind of a shape, not an evil, well, not an evil eye, but an oval eye, and also an evil eye. But if you don't do these increases and decreases, you can just do it as a diamond, and that works as well. But again, I want a bead here, but I don't have a thread bridge to go under. So I'm just going to go ahead and go down the bead underneath. And that actually just very easily locks my bead in place. But what I do need to do is reposition my needle, redo my thread path. And the way that I have to do that is I now have to go back up through the blue bead, but I need to also travel kind of a special thread path, because if I go up through that second bead there and I come down through this bead, my thread's not going to be in the right place. So what I need to do is actually go up through the third bead over. So I have my clear bead here, my first blue bead, and my second blue bead. I need to come up that third blue bead, down that second bead, and then back up through the clear bead. It's just one of those things you kind of have to finagle your thread around so that it's coming back up through the right place, but you don't have to worry about that ever again. Not, well, maybe again in the future, but not in this piece because we're only doing that increase in one spot. It's one of those things you kind of have to do some crazy things just to make sure that your thread is in the right place. But now I'm good to go to just continue that path, skipping the first thread bridge, going back through the second one until I am all the way back up at the top. Okay, so I'm going to jump forward because we already showed building that whole extravaganza, and I was practicing on clear thread or on this is actually Fireline, um, not the blue wildfire. I didn't happen to have any in my home studio. That's why the thread all of a sudden looks different because I just switched it out cooking show style. But I've done all the way up to those last couple of rows. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let me see if I can move from left to right or from right to left this time. So I have my thread bridge here and my thread bridge here. And maybe I do that sometimes. I don't know. For this project, at least, it was easier for me to work the other way. I think it still is. All right, and so then I would come down here and we'll do it Emily's way, just down one. I like going down two, but that's okay. One works. And then back up. Yeah, I totally have to flip this, but we're gonna stay consistent. And then through this thread path here underneath and up. Yeah, it's not as comfortable for me. It's not interesting. And then of course our last one is those two clear beads. So underneath my thread path, back up. And I'm going to go ahead and add another wire guardian. And for those of you who aren't familiar with wire guardians, they're these little horseshoe shaped guys, and they're really good to put at the end and the beginning of your designs. Generally meant for beading wire, bead stringing wire, but I find that they work really well with beading thread of all types as well. So I'm going to come down here through all of my beads. And here you have two options. You can do the Meredith way and go ahead and just tie these two in a knot and pull your threads through and use a wildfire cord cutter, which I do not have down here at arm's length. I probably have one behind me. Or you can go ahead and just weave your threads in, make a couple of switchbacks, then go ahead and put another needle on your tail, weave it back through and do a couple of switchbacks. But then you have such a cool component that you can incorporate again into earrings. I think I have an ear wire at the ready. Here I do, right behind me. Just go ahead and add an ear wire just to turn this into something. So we can put an ear wire on the top. And then perhaps a dangle-do. Should we add a little dangle-do here on the bottom, Sarah, just to
I mean, if we're doing
make it?
Meredith, I think a dangle-do would only be appropriate.
Let's see. I'm looking at this mix here. Which one?
Woo!
Which one is this called?
See no evil.
See no evil. How about this guy right here
Woo,
on the bottom?
so pretty. It's so cute.
So let's turn him into a dangle-do real quick. And I like to use these little rondelles on the bottom of my dangle-doos in pretty much all cases, just because they add a little razzle dazzle.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just going to come in here and make a wrapped loop really quickly. And if I've learned nothing else from Sarah James over the years, I've learned that it's not only okay, but good to mix your metals. So I've added a gold and a rose gold to the mix here of my silver. And if I were a little, oh, I do have some jump rings at the ready too. They might not be the best size for the job, but they're going to get the job done. Oh, wait, here we go. Smaller jump rings. I like a teeny tiny jump ring sometimes for a project.
I love teeny tiny jump rings. What's your favorite size jump ring? Like in your arsenal, what would you say that you must have this size jump ring?
Oh, goodness. I think I would go for a 4 millimeter,
Ooh, okay. All right.
maybe a 3 millimeter. There we go.
Ooh.
Look at me having a finished project.
She
But
cute.
yeah, so we have our earring with a little dangle do on the bottom. Really, really cute and fun. Love it.
Wow, Meredith, that's super fun. And this is something that I love that Meredith will do. Okay. So like I come up with an idea and then Meredith will make it happen. So I'll do like that. But Meredith, what I really love that you did today, if I can just like put this here and maybe if you could, can you slide her so we can see
Yep.
him? Yeah. Okay. So I love what Meredith did. You see, she could have done this like as a diamond shape, like just a plain old like going up like a cone and down like a V. But you didn't do that, Meredith. You did it like you waved out a little bit, and that is really, really special. This was a unique way to do those beads.
You wanted an eye, Sarah, so I'm not gonna not give you the eye that you wanted.
No, it's gorgeous. And you know what, Meredith, you do so well with teaching seed beads. I know you've been doing it for a really long time, and you have your knowledge and your know-how, the mistakes that you've made over the years. Like these are things that all like develop you into being like such a wonderful teacher to be able to educate us on like what you find to be the best way to do something. So thank you for this class today.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it's really true. I've made all the mistakes, and I try to build
I
them
meant
in
that in like the
also.
nicest ways.
What's that?
I said I meant that in the nicest of ways.
No, it's true though. And once you've, especially with seed bead work, because there are so many mistakes to be made. And when you can calmly and unfrustratedly take those mistakes out and move on. I mean, it's taken me years to be able to do that. Someday I'll do a show and tell of all of my my unfinished projects that just got too badly down the rabbit hole of mistakes.
I feel like that would be like a really healthy, like bless it and release it sort of like
Yep.
we came, we saw, we moved on.
Yeah, but they're always learning experiences. That's the thing.
Right.
Like that, and that's why we were talking about cubic right angle weave before. Like there's so many mess ups and then it clicks. And I like to keep my mess ups because I remember how long it took for it to finally click. So that when I start on the next thing that I want to learn, I don't get frustrated. I know that eventually it's going to click. But for me, like I need to make all the mistakes. I need to figure it out myself. That's just kind of part of my journey. But I wanted to come back around because we didn't mention that Better Homes and Gardens okay, so you texted me the cover, so
Yes.
start there.
This is a really good segue, guys, because we have a very, very big announcement that's going to be happening like in the next 5 minutes here or so. So just like stick around. But anyway, Meredith loves to make wired French flowers. And I was checking out of the grocery store the other day, and there was a Better Homes and Gardens magazine that had these beautiful array of wire French flowers. So of course I sent it to my friend Meredith and said, "Hey, did you see this?" And she said, "No, I hadn't yet, but I think you have by now, right?"
Yep. So I looked at Target. Target didn't have it. I looked at CVS. CVS didn't have it. I'm surprised and pleasantly surprised that your grocery store did. I was able to find the copy that I picked up at Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
So that's where I finally found an actual magazine copy. But it's a really cute article. Did you look through it, Sarah?
I
It's
paused
awesome.
through it, but then I was like up next at the grocery store counter, and I didn't pick it up because I was like in and out. I was getting something from my mom, so I just set it back. And I wish I would have it, so I'll have to go back to the store and grab one.
Yep. So the cool thing, so they did a bunch of different projects. So French beaded flowers, in case you don't know what we're talking about.
Show us, guys! I'm so excited to tell you what's coming. Oh my god!
This is my like haphazard bouquet. It's not really like in any shape or like everything needs to be spruced up. But this is what French beaded flowers are. And it's not very well balanced either, so it could go toppling over
No,
at
they're
any moment. But anyway,
beautiful.
thank you, Sarah. And that's where I kind of restarted my journey back to beading, and what brought me here to be in front of you today is learning how to do the French beaded flowers. Then I bought a ton of seed beads, and then one thing led to another, and here I am. But the article is really cool because it shows a lot of different options. They do bows, which are really, really pretty. And it breaks it down, like all of the different things that you need to do them, and then also how to make them. So I was like, Better Homes and Gardens cover story, like that's a big deal for us in the beading industry, and also a big deal to us as crafters.
Yes, ma'am. So the Better Homes and Gardens beaded flower, French beaded flower. I know that Meredith loves these. I know your story about this getting you back into beading and coming on, and just your passion for these flowers and how they've got you. Basically, our friendship it could be, rooted in these French beaded flowers, if you may. And I have a very, very big announcement, guys, that today is our early entry, our pre-signups for Jesse James Beads and Blooms online jewelry making retreat starts today. We just launched it on the website. I'm going to drop a link here in a minute. But anyhow, our theme for this event, this is a jewelry making event. It's an all heart event online, takes place in a private Facebook group. We have all the classes streaming live for broadcast. You get the entire kit with all of your beads and your tools and your components that you need to make 8 amazing projects from our incredible instructors. And our theme this year is Self-Care Spring. Self-Care Spring. So we're teaching projects with a focus on growth, on creativity, learning new things, and self-care. So as the host of these events, I reached out to our instructors and I said, hey, I really want you to design something that you love, like something that you love so much that you would just like love to teach it to our students. And there's a passion behind it that like you have to take time out of your day to make this certain project because it fills you. And I said to Meredith, I know how much you love the French wire flowers. Like, what do you think about teaching this? And what did Meredith say?
Absolutely. Count me in. Yay. They are my favorite. So it'll be interesting to see how I can break them down so that we can do them in a classroom environment. There's a lot involved, but I think we can do it. I have faith in us.
So French beaded flowers to make a French beaded flower, there's a lot of seed beads involved. And Meredith has told me, because I've asked about doing these in the past, Meredith has said, if you do not have the bead spinning gizmo, the spinning bead.
There you go.
It's like, don't even bother. So we, in our kits for our Beads and Blooms 2024, I'm dropping the link for it right here. Beads and Blooms, sign up here. This kit, it will be including, yes, hold it up again. Yay. The spinning bead. So everyone's going to be getting one of these amazing tools with their Beads and Blooms kit, along with a whole big bunch of seed beads and wire and beads and cool chain and all kinds of really, really fun, funky things to make 8 projects from 6 amazing designers. All of the information for Beads and Blooms 2024 Self-Care Spring is on the website. If you sign up between now and 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks is our like grand launch. This is our pre-series. If you sign up between now and February 28th, you'll get your shipping for free, and you get your choice of free curated specialty bead mix made by Stacy in the bead department, either cool tones or warm tones. And that is our thank you for signing up early gift to you, along with free shipping. So that's what's happening. Beads and Blooms 2024 is taking course over the last 2 weeks of April. We will have 3 classes, April 23rd to 25th. We will have 4 classes, April 30th to May 2nd. There will be a bead along Zoom party. We are going to be having some fun extras like how to color match, speaking forums, and of course, our incredible designers teaching us with all of their heart and passion and all heart energy that y'all always, always brings to the table. These events are so much fun. And I believe truly, Meredith, like it's so important that we take time for ourselves. Like creating is healing. And the joy that we feel from creating and being amongst this community is like second to none. So happy to announce our spring jewelry making event. And always, Meredith, happy to have you teaching with us.
Yay. I'm so excited. So excited. I'm so excited to teach everybody how to use the spinning bead. I'm so excited to come up with an amazing French beaded flowers project. And the whole event, I mean, I try as much as I can to bop into other designers' classes.
Yeah.
And the spirit of community fills my heart with so much happiness. So I'm really looking forward to it from both as an instructor, but also as a participant.
It's going to be so great. I mean, we're going to learn a lot. We've got that. What I'm most excited about right now is Meredith doing this. The French beaded flowers, I think, is going to be so cool because I know how dear they are to you, Meredith. And then another class that I'll just tease a little bit about is we're doing a wire Wonder Woman masterclass with Gem Hawks. And we're going to be like really breaking down the steps of wire techniques that you see again and again in your projects. And the goal for this Beads and Blooms is to walk away with such a good understanding of wire from that master class that she'll be teaching. It's going to be great. It'll be so good.
I learned so much from Jem. So just the fact that she is going to be teaching that class would be worth the price of admission for me, for sure.
Yeah, we've got so many different gauges of beetle on wire that goes into this kit as well. We're really going to learn a lot, and just the focus on self-care and taking a moment for ourselves to do something that we love, like that's the magic right there.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, Meredith, thank you so much for sharing a portion of your day and your Valentine's Day with us here at Jesse James Beads. Yay! I hope you have a great rest of your day, Meredith, and to all of our friends that have been watching, whether it's live or on the replay. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll be seeing you real soon. Bye, everyone.